In this video, I'm going to show you the build process of my updated CPU PCB, which includes a hat, basically an upper stackable portion with status indicators, LEDs for address, data, and some of the control lines. The PCB is a two-part PCB that really is printed as a single PCB that snaps in half. I'm assembling the lower portion, which is basically a socket for the 286 that fans it out onto a breadboard layout. And then it's using a stackable set of pin headers. I'm using a stencil to apply solder paste to the upper portion of the PCB, which is nearly entirely surface mount components. Got my microscope set up, and basically then going to go through and start placing all of the components that need to be filled in here. And so there's a whole lot of LEDs, resistors, and then a handful of ICs. I can even tell, and you can see that here, that probably too much solder paste, so next time I'm going to try to get it on even thinner than what I did here, which I'm not sure how well that'll work. It might be that the ICs I don't try to put on this way, and I actually just hand solder them on. But here I'm going to go through and do all of this placement. And off to the oven for a 7-minute bake, and out comes a board that overall looked pretty good. There were some bridges, of course, on the ICs. Those are T-SOPs, and I don't have great luck with those coming out of the oven without needing some touch-up. I had maybe a capacitor or two that had to be adjusted, an LED or two that had to be adjusted. But otherwise, it came out of that process pretty well. So then soldering on the through-hole components on that upper board, which would really just be pin headers that are going to connect into the lower portion, and a couple of capacitors, larger capacitors, and then some basic testing just to see if the LEDs are lighting up if I give those ICs some power. In the process, found a couple more little tweaks I had to do, just adjustments, so I'm making those adjustments here. And then that gets me to this result. So this is the completely assembled board. And then this is the board up and running. However, I noticed a problem at this point. The actual values that I'd expect from like A23 down to A0 aren't in the right order. And same with the data lines. So I accidentally took the wrong order on some lines. So I've got to go back and order an update to the PCB where the order of the LEDs is correct. So unfortunate, and I've done that in the past where I've maybe transposed some lines and probably should have caught that. So that's me maybe not being careful enough. that is the updated PCB, and hopefully I'll have another one here. I'm in no rush to replace the upper hat, but I'll get that on order.